Invasion of Chaos is a booster set which combined the Japanese sets Controller of Chaos and Invader of Darkness. Released in North America on March 1st, 2004. It was the first core set of the year, and man, did it make an impact on the meta, introducing some of the most powerful boss monsters the game had seen to date, the Chaos monsters. But these monsters, while powerful, lacked a certain weirdness that I'm privy to in older Yu-Gi-Oh! So, in today's video, I've compiled some of the strangest and wackiest monsters from the set, so I could share them with you, my Scrubscribers. So, without further ado, let's get into the top 10 weirdest monsters in Invasion of Chaos. First up on the list, at our number 10 spot, is Balloon Lizard. Balloon Lizard is an Earth, level 4 reptile effect monster with 500 attack and 1900 defense whose effect reads, put 1 counter on this card during each of your standby phases. When this card is destroyed, inflict damage to the controller of the card that destroyed it equal to the number of counters times 400 points. Alright, who's the motherfucker at Konami with the inflation fetish? Jokes aside, we're kicking off this list with quite the funny little fella here. The artwork really does sell the fact that the more counters, aka air, that he has on him, the bigger the damage is when he's destroyed, aka popped. Is this where the fan term popped originally came from? I guess I'll never know. This thing is weird for the obvious reason of him just being a lizard filled with helium to the point that he's floating in the air, but also that his effect is kinda unique. Other than that, all of his other stats and typings line up, so he earns a spot on the list. Just not a very high one. Next up at number 9 is Witch Doctor of Chaos. Witch Doctor of Chaos is a dark level 2 spellcaster flip effect monster with 500 attack and 500 defense with the following effect. Flip. Select 1 monster card from you or your opponent's graveyard. Remove it from play. Until making this list, I never really got a close-up view of this thing's face, and boy, is it something out of a nightmare. Seemingly either in agony or just really sad that he never saw any play. I'm also not sure if he's getting sucked into a void, creating it around himself, or emerging from it. But either way, it's pretty eerie. This thing is so weird, mainly for the creepy and eldritch looking design of the dude. From the fact that he's made of many jutting bones, to the fact that even though most of him is just bones, his arms still have green flesh, all tatted up like his dad left him as a child, and just the fact that he's in some type of all-encompassing void. Seriously though, my comment about his dad leaving him because of his tattoos was just a little quip. Your issues with your dad are probably far worse. At our number 8 spot is Spirit of the Pot of Greed. Spirit of the Pot of Greed is a light level 1 fairy effect monster with 100 attack and 100 defense, with an effect that says, while this card is in face-up attack position on the field, if a player activates Pot of Greed, they can draw 1 more card. Aw, he's just a cheeky little guy. The fact that any monster or card mentioning Pot of Greed in their effects will most likely never be able to resolve them again is just kind of funny. Although, based on modern decks, drawing 2 might be more fair than searching 15 extenders in a turn. No shade to competitive players though, you know. Oh, by the way, as of writing this script, the ban list just dropped a couple days ago. If you play competitively, let me know what you think of it. Anyway, this thing is just all around strange, from its funny artwork to its pathetic stats to the fact that can never activate anymore because, you know, Pot of Greed's banned. The weirdest part though is the spirit inside of the pot has the pot's face, which is just uncanny looking. So maybe he's not as cute as I originally thought. Or might pop out of my toilet in the middle of me taking a massive Up next at number 7 is The Thing in the Crater. The Thing in the Crater is a fire level 4 pyro effect monster with 1000 attack and 1200 defense with this effect. When this card is destroyed and sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 pyro type monster from your hand. Guys, I think this is the video of realizing things you never noticed before in Yu-Gi-Oh cards, because looking closer at this thing in the crater, I see that it's not just a pair of eyes lurking in a crevice. It looks like said crevice is actually a hulking black figure hunched over and ready to strike any foe who falls in. I honestly couldn't imagine a worse fate. You're already starting to burn alive in the lava, and then this creepy attacks you, probably ripping you to shreds. There's not really much more explanation I have to do to convince you guys why the Thing in the Crater is such a weird monster. So let's just continue on. And at our number 6 spot is Ojama Yellow. Ojama Yellow is a light level 2 beast normal monster with 0 attack and 1000 defense whose flavor text reads, he's one of the Ojama trio. It's said that he butts in by any means necessary. It's also said that when the three are together, something happens. In the last set we talked about, I realized that the Ojamas didn't all come out together, at least in North America. And the one Ojama I thought might have been the first to release was this f***ing weirdo. I guess the GX anime gave me a bias toward Yellow since he's the main one in Chaz Princeton's deck. But in a vacuum, ignoring the anime, this thing definitely deserves to be on the list. Like Ojama Green in the previous set, this guy is wearing a damn Speedo. Also, its eyes are those of a snail or slug, along with a gigantic mouth, complete with uncannily human-like teeth and drool dripping down. Its flavor text is also unusual, being shared with the other two vanilla Ojama monsters, instead of having its own unique text. All of this coalesces to create one hell of a strange monster. I just wish he'd stop trying to seduce me. Ugh. And about halfway through the list, at number 5 is Banian. Banian is a dark level 3 machine effect monster with 1300 attack and 1000 defense, whose effect says, once per turn during your standby phase, inflict 600 damage to your opponent. Damn, Mr. I from Super Mario 64 got some in upgrades, huh? Like, where do I begin with this thing? It's some sort of robot eyeball with spikes all over and one wicked looking crossbow. I've always had an affinity for machine type monsters being dark, which implies that they're evil, making them seem more intimidating and sinister. Although if this thing was coming after me, I don't think I'd need to see its attribute to know he's out for my blood. Banian is just an all-around weird-ass monster, and definitely deserves a middle spot on the list. Up next at number 4 is Drago. Drago is a dark level 4 machine effect monster with 1600 attack and 1100 defense with an effect that reads, if the only cards your opponent controls are face-up monsters with 1600 or more attack, this card can attack your opponent directly. If you thought Banian was a weird dark machine monster, you haven't seen my boy Drago yet. Like, what mad scientist put this thing together and thought it was a good idea in general? It's just not practical. He'd be terrible in both combat and construction, but I guess none of that matters when you look like this, I guess. Also, the dude kind of just has a penis right here. Talk about getting drilled. Nah, but this walking torture device not only deserves to be on the list for all those reasons, but the fact that its effect has a weirdly specific condition, needing your opponent to control only face-up monsters with 1600 or more attack for him to be able to attack directly. Also, does this thing count as a mommy card to you weirdos? Because, you know, drill tip. And at our number 3 spot is Manu of the 10,000 Hands. Manu of the 10,000 Hands is a light level 4 fairy effect monster with 1400 attack and 1000 defense with the following effect. When this card is normal or flip summoned, you can add one ritual monster or one ritual spell from your deck to your hand. Ritual players be summoned in this guy without even batting an eye at the fact that he's a literal eldritch abomination of nature. I don't know if he actually has 10,000 hands in the artwork, but goddamn does he have them everywhere. All over his torso, lower body, and his head, all while being held together with what looks like some sort of primordial ooze, implying that he's some creature from ancient times that hasn't really needed to evolve in millions of years. That's probably because he's some sort of divine being, above the need for petty mortal concepts like evolution. He is perfection. He is infinite. He is a light level 4 fairy effect monster with 1400 attack. And our runner-up spot at number 2 is Granadora. Granadora is a water level 4 reptile effect monster with 1900 attack and 700 defense, whose effect reads, when this monster is normal summoned, flip summoned, or special summoned, increase your life points by 1000 points. When this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you take 2000 points of damage. Alright, we gotta go back to the drawing board here, Evolution. Why the did nature decide that this dinosaur-like creature needed 8 eyes and literal blades all over its body? Plus the fact that its head is shaped so damn weirdly should definitely be enough to give it a high spot on the list. Granadora has the classic bad effect for good statted monster attached to it, which is pretty standard in the game, but the effect itself is pretty unique, gaining a decent chunk of life points when summoned, but double that amount is taken if destroyed and sent to the graveyard. All in all, this freak of nature for sure deserves to be this high on the list, but y'all know that there's one more left, so let's dive into it. And the winner of the weirdest monster in Invasion of Chaos goes to Lunga. Lunga is a water level 4 plant effect monster with 1700 attack and 500 defense with this effect. You can banish 2 water monsters from your graveyard. Special summon 1 Lunga token. Plant type, water, level 2, 700 attack, 700 defense. in attack position. Damn, this set got a bunch of alternate universe Mr. Eyes. To be fair, I've always found floating singular eyeballs to be particularly creepy, but Lunga is not just an eyeball. No, he's a plant eyeball with popping veins attached to a bunch of tentacles with spiky seed pods at the ends. Like, imagine seeing this thing staring at you when you go out to your garden. And listen, its effect is not a once per turn, so you could, in the right deck, spam out a bunch of tokens for all sorts of extra deck plays, or even for tributes, since the tokens are not restricted in any way. The problem is that Lunga is a plant type monster, whereas most water monsters are either aqua, fish, or sea serpent. So unless you're playing Rika, he might not be too useful, but at least his stat line is pretty decent and without a downside. I guess the threshold is 1800 attack in older Yu-Gi-Oh! Hey, have you guys been paying attention? Oh my god, you guys fell for Lunga's oldest trick. You never look into its eye directly. You'll just end up hypnotized forever, and... Alright folks, we're done with the first core set of 2004. Reflecting back onto the month since starting this series of videos, it's really cool seeing the potential for this channel. I've wanted to make YouTube videos for a living since I learned that you could do so, and being at over 500 subs as of writing this script makes that dream seem very tangible to me now. So here's to all of y'all for continuing to watch these silly videos, and one day, maybe one day, I'll be able to leave my day job to make these things for you guys as a job. And if you want to catch up with me more personally, I do have some social media links in the description below if you want to follow me there too. But that's it for my time, guys. Remember to like the video, subscribe if you're new here to become a Scrubscriber, and comment down below what you think the weirdest monsters in Invasion of Chaos are. And I will see you guys next time.